Hey guys, what is up? My name is Lucy Day, and if you've never seen me before, welcome to my channel. I do a lot of creepy, otherworldly, mystical, pagan things on my channel, so if you're into that, go ahead and subscribe. But today, guys, is a very special day because, as you can tell by the title, we're going to be talking about a holiday, Wiccan Sabbat, which is Yule. So today, we're really going to go into the history of Yule, some traditions, the symbols, everything like that, so prepare your butts and let's get into Yule. Also, it's really bright today too. I'm sorry if it gets too bright, but there's actually sun today and I love it. It's just so beautiful today. So, okay. Anyways, let's get into it. What is Yule? So Yule occurs from December 20th to December 23rd, or I've heard that it continues on to January 2nd. Basically, it celebrates winter solstice, so it's gonna go from the 20th usually all the way to the 2nd of January. This year it's from the 22nd to the 2nd of January, and it is a minor Sabbat. And like I just said, Yule celebrates the winter solstice. It is also known as the solstice night, or the longest night of the year. After Yule, the days will start to get longer and the nights will start to get shorter. So this is like the period where the nights are coming to long nights are coming to an end. In the southern hemisphere, however, due to seasonal differences, right now is a time where they would be celebrating the summer solstice, or Liva. So the winter solstice is celebrated by many cultures around the world and many people around the world, and it's celebrating the return of the sun and the darkness turning into the light. So that's the whole idea of the winter solstice. Yule is seen as a celebration of light. So it started as a festival, which was observed by historic pagan and Germanic groups. But now that you know what Yule is, let's get into the history behind Yule. And there's a lot of history behind where celebrations from, because a lot of cultures and a lot of different people celebrate the winter solstice. It's not just pagan or Wiccan. I'm not going to go too much into that. I'm kind of going to keep it on the Wiccan side of things, the pagan side of things. We'll talk about the European roots. I'll mention a couple other cultures that celebrate the winter solstice, but yeah. In the northern hemisphere, the winter solstice has been celebrated for millennia. The Norse peoples called it Jule, or I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but it's J-U-L. I'll put it here, Jule. And they thought it was a time for merrymaking and celebration. In addition to this, Icelandic people believe this was a time for sacrifice as well. So traditional things like the Yule log, the Yule tree, and wassailing can be all traced back to the Norse people. And we'll get into that too, like where they come from, what it means, we'll get into that. Going off a little bit, the winter solstice, like I said, was celebrated by many cultures. So the Romans had Saturnalia, which was their own celebration for the winter solstice. Egyptians, ancient cultures, celebrated winter solstice as well. They started welcoming in the sun god, which was Ra. Also, the Greeks and a whole lot of other different cultures had celebrations for winter solstice. So this is not new. We've been celebrating the winter solstice for a long time now, pagans included, okay? This is where Yule and Christianity this is where we get that split between Yule and Christmas. So Yule is a traditional pagan holiday. It is usually pagan. So when Christianity popped along, when it was forming and everything else, they had trouble converting the pagans to Christianity. So they build on the pagan sites and everything like that, and instead of throwing away the traditions, they kind of incorporated their traditions into Christianity. So that's where you get Christmas tree from, because the pagans had their Yule tree. Caroling and things like that come from the pagan traditions. So Christmas is not Yule. Christmas is like Christmas is basically inspired by Yule. Yule is what was first of all, it was winter solstice, then I guess the pagans, decided to have this Yule, but then Christmas came along, Christianity came along, and kind of based their symbolism and tradition off of Yule. So that's kind of what happened there. In some traditions of Wicca and paganism, Yule, the celebration of Yule, actually comes from a battle, a legendary battle. So it was between the Holly King and the Oak King, and basically the Oak King is the one who ushers in he's the son of, no, he's not the son, he's the god of light, and the Holly King is basically kind of like the god of darkness. And so each year the Oak King tries to usurp the Holly King, and Usually around this time, we're celebrating the Oak King, who brings in the sun. And we're also honoring the Holly King, the darkness that is falling away. I don't know why that didn't make sense in my mind, but yeah. Now I'm gonna kind of go into like what is being celebrated, why are we celebrating, what is the importance, what are some symbols. We're gonna get into that now. So we're talking about the rebirth of the Oak King. So that is something that is being celebrated. It is also the longest night of the year. Again, it is the winter solstice, so we are celebrating that. It's also a time, great time for introspection, and also planning for the future. So this is kind of like saying goodbye to the old and ushering in the new. That's like the theme, I guess. There's always this theme of rebirth and death in each of the Sabbats. So this is kind of like the light is being reborn and the darkness is fading into the old. Also, in connecting with the natural world and connecting with the seasons and everything else, in every Sabbat, this goes for every Sabbat, we are more in tune with what is going around us. So now we're gonna get into symbols. So obviously the Yule tree is very, very important to Yule. This is the Yule tree. It's very, very symbolic. And it's an evergreen tree, and it's seen as life eternal. Life eternal. This is the symbolism behind it, life eternal. It's Germanic in its origin, Germanic background, and it could be seen as the tree of life. So that is why Yule is the Yule tree anyways is such an important symbol to us. It is life eternal. Almost like how we know like the seasons are gonna keep happening and everything has a reborn death cycle. This is that tree saying that it is eternal and it will always happen. The Yule tree would often be decorated with gifts that people wanted from the gods or sacred things to the gods and goddesses of this time. Also, it was adorned with natural ornaments such as pine cones, berries, things like that. So mistletoe is also an important symbol representing fertility. People believe that the white of the berry represented the male, I guess the male aspect of this. So the Oak King, and some say human semen. So that is one thing. And then also the green leaves represented the goddess, the mother kind of thing. So the female aspect of things. But other symbols include pine cones, holly, which was used to represent the male element of things, which was usually hung around, used to decorate doors, hung around fireplaces and windows. Herbs like frankincense and myrrh, these are important symbols to the holiday as well. So the colors of Yule, we'll start with green and red. So red kind of symbolizes the blood, and green kind of symbolizes the soil. And also red represents the waning Holly King, and green represents the waxing Oak King. Also there's white, which represents purity and hope. Also there is silver, which represents the moon, and gold, which represents the sun. Alright, so that was a lot of symbols and a lot just getting into Yule, but now we're kind of going to look at celebration of Yule. So ways to celebrate, what you could do, what are some of the traditional things to do around this time. So let's get into that. In Celtic traditions, a continual earth fire was kept to prevent spirits from coming into the home. And so around this time, people would go out and fell Yule logs and bring them home. That's where you get this like Yuletide log. They would bring home the tree, chop it, make it into a log, keep it into the fire, and basically the longer that the log would burn, the faster the sun would come in, and the faster that we would have these longer days of light. And also they would believe that it would keep out spirits and keep them safe during the holidays. So that's where that idea of Yule log comes in. It's a Celtic tradition. Wreaths are also a traditional thing, traditional way to celebrate. They symbolize the wheel of the year and the completion of another cycle. Often they were adorned with pine cones and berries and hung all around the house. So it's also a traditional way to celebrate as well. Also, wassail. So let's talk about that. So wassail was a strong drink. It was a mixture of honey, ale, spices, basically for mulled apple cider. When pagans would go into the forest and look for oak for their Yuletide log, they would anoint the oak with wassail, with this mixture, this drink, and they would bedeck the oak with wassail soaked cakes. And that's where that whole, I think I'm saying it right, That's where wassailing comes from. And I kind of looked into wassailing, and it has something to do with caroling. I didn't really go deep with it. Now we're kind of going to get into what you can do to celebrate. So I would say the first thing, especially what I'm going to do, is kind of put yourself, if you are Wiccan, if you are pagan, kind of put yourself in that pagan mindset. Now a lot of these holidays, New Year's, Christmas, these things originally originated from pagan tradition. So just kind of put yourself in that mindset. You don't have to celebrate New Year's or Christmas, or you can celebrate them, whatever you want to do. But if you wanted to kind of put yourself in that mindset, just realize that like you can take like from December 22nd, I think it is this year, to January 2nd, and just make it one big festival for yourself. Festival of the winter solstice, okay? You can kind of put yourself in that pagan mindset if you wanted to. It's completely free, up to you, but that is one way you can go about looking at this holiday. It is traditional to light candles. They're said to bring in the sun faster, kind of represents the sun in that way. So you can light candles, and kind of that can kind of represent you bringing in the light of the light of spring, the light of the sun, bringing it in, lighting candles around you. Also, if you wanted to light like a Yule candle that you had in particular and light it on Christmas Eve or the eve of Yule or whatever you wanted to do and just keep it burning, that is completely optional, completely fine, a way you could celebrate, lighting candles. So also another way you could celebrate is feasting with family and friends. That is the best way. That is the easiest way, I feel like. It is just so much fun. If you're going to see your family and friends during the holiday time anyway, or maybe you're not, I don't know, but it would be, it's really cool to just, you know, chill out with friends and family and get them together and everything. And if you wanted to, you could make food that you've harvested in this past harvest, in this previous harvest. You can make those foods and be like, this is everything that I learned how to do. This is the fruits of my labor as we go into this new time of spring, and this is everything I did during this time. So also, if you're into bread, I know Wiccans, we have a thing for bread, and the bread, I was reading about symbols for Yule, and one of them was like gingerbread. So if you want to make gingerbread or gingerbread men or gingerbread anything, that is also a thing. You could go and get yourself a Yule tree, an evergreen tree, keep it in the house, decorate it with symbols of the deities you want to honor this Yule. You could just get a log, oak preferably, and just, not even preferably, but just oak or an oak log, and have it burning in a fireplace if you have a fireplace, to celebrate that concept of a Yule log. And then also you have your Yule tree if you want to decorate that, get that all set up and nice, and you know, symbols of light, symbols of sun, decorated like that. However you want to do that, that's also an option you have. So like I said, pine cones, holly, mistletoe, these are all things you can have kind of around your house if you wanted to. If you wanted to decorate your altar, again, the colors are red, green, we have silver, we have gold, we have white. So these are all colors you can incorporate in your decor around your home if you wanted to do that. Meditation is always an option. I always do meditation around this time. I always just sit and reflect every Sabbath, doesn't matter. Meditation is always an option to you. Nature walking, being out in nature and appreciating nature, literally being one with the seasons. That is incredible. And if you can do that, sorry, I keep looking over there, it's just because I'm distracted, but that is also an option you have. Now we get into rituals. If you are pagan and if you are into witchcraft as well, you could do spell work around this time. There are rituals if you want to stick to traditional rituals. I don't have any rituals that I do or anything like that, but if you have rituals you like to do around this time, that works too. Spell working also is something you could do around this time. Themes around this time for spell work are peace, harmony, love, happiness for the future is what you want to focus on if you're going to do some spell work like that. So you could focus on honoring the gods and the goddesses. Obviously the big ones would be, if you're going with the pagan beliefs, the Oak King, honoring the Great Mother. You could get into a lot of different deities depending on who you're working with. So for me, what am I doing this Yule? You know, I'm gonna be on a cruise, so I will definitely get a lot of sun, and I will definitely be keeping in mind the sun god, and I will be honoring him and meditating. I'll be on those beaches like, yes, I'm really gonna focus. I've been focusing a lot on love recently, so I'm gonna focus on that. Not really gonna do any spell workings, can't really like feast and anything, but definitely spend time with my family and do things like that. So that is it. That is all I have for you guys. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead, subscribe, leave a like. I'm here every Monday and Friday with new videos. thank you guys so much for watching. I really enjoy this, and I think that's it for me. So have a very happy Yule. A love and light to you all. Really enjoy the Sabbath and take time for yourself. So bye.